Hey guys, welcome back. Mr. Zern here with another video almost none of you are ever going to watch. Hey, I'm going to show you two neat things we can do in Python. And one is this sorted command that will allow you to take a list and it'll just put things in order, numerically or alphabetically or whatever. And the other, this not in command. So let's start off here with a little bit of review. And, I've got a list with some random letters in it. All right, so we're just going to make a list here, and I'm going to give it the unbelievably clever name of my list. Probably never saw that coming. And I don't know, I'm just going to kind of fill it with some random letters of the alphabet. Feel free to, plug some in there for yourself as well. Forgot my it's a little tricky there between all the quotation marks and commas and, just everything else you sort of put in with something like that. Oh, forgot another one there. We're close. Comma. You just get a couple more in here so we can see this bad boy in action, right? Let's see here. Comma. Maybe just two more. All right, I got about half the alphabet in there, and you can see that it is just sort of super random and in all kinds of crazy orders. All right, so again, a little more review there. So previously I just made a list, so nothing new there, and I just filled it with a whole bunch of strings, and those strings just happen to be random letters of the alphabet. So let's do a user-declared variable. And give it the incredibly crafty name of question. So question equals input, and what am I asking here? Well, I'm going to tell the user to pick a letter of the alphabet. All right, so that doesn't seem too bad. I'm going to add just a dot lower notation. I'm not actually 100% sure. I haven't tested it to know if what I'm going to do probably would affect. It needs to be all lowercase for this to work. All right, so let's run it. You're going to, just so I don't get an error. I do need a space, so let's add a space. Let's run that again. Okay, pick a letter. I'm just going to say B and enter, and really nothing happens. The question is now, equal to B. So let's do something new with that information. Okay, so here's something new. And I'm going to sort of add this not in. All right, so this is this new command we're going to check out. And not in checks if a variable is in a list. All right, so this is pretty neat. There's lots of ways we could do this. We could totally do it inside of a while loop or a for loop. I'm just going to do it inside of a conditional statement here and say if question. All right, so we've done stuff like that before. Think about it. We've done, hey, if question equals something, or if question does not equal. If this was storing an integer, we could say, hey, if question is greater than or less than or all that. But instead of equal or not equal or greater than, I'm going to do not in. Well, not in what? Well, not in my list. So if question is not in my list, we'll do something. We'll do what? How about print? All right, and what should it print? Well, let's say question. So we're just going to just kind of remind the person what they entered, and so we'll concatenate that with the string is not in the list. All right, so let's just run that, and all right, so pick a letter, and I'm going to say the letter A. Well, let me see. B. Let's do B. I don't think B is in there. All right, B is not in the list. All right, let's run it again. I'll say A. I'm pretty sure A is in there, and nothing happens because it doesn't trigger because A is in the list. It doesn't trigger that statement. Let's flip it here so we could get kind of so I could do another if statement. If question not if question is in list or something, but I'm just going to do an else because that's going to be a lot less coding, and just say else, and I could actually just kind of copy paste that statement and just change, is in the list. I got a space in there, so let's get rid of that. There we go. Okay. So A is in the list. B is in the list. All right. Now we could go a step further here and just kind of let users know, like, well, what is in the list, man? Like, I don't know what's in the list. And let's say, how about comma my list? There we go. And so let's run it and go B. And it says B is not in the list, and it kind of just shows us, what is in the list. I could do something similar down here as well, and do a comma and say my list. So let's run that again and say A, because I have no A's in the list. A is in the list, and again, it's showing us the list there. So that's that not in command, which is, again, really neat. It just looked at the list and hey, is this variable in the list? And the program just checks for me very quickly. So that's a neat trick, I think, something we can add. All right, I'm just going to add a little line break here, and then we're going to take a look at something else here. And this is new, and this is a neat command. And this is going to, let's see here, puts items in the list in order. So I think this is, oops, not open. Don't auto-correct me. There we go. Silly program. All right, so I'm just going to say, hey, print, and I'm just going to, put a string here. Here are the letters in order. And I'm just going to do a separate line here. So I'm just going to kind of break that up into 2 lines. You could totally concatenate this command with the string if you wanted. I'm just going to separate them and say sorted my list. All right, and let's run that. So it's going to say, pick a letter. I'll say B. B is not in the list. And when we take a look here, it says here are the letters in order, and you can see it puts them in alphabetical order. So again, pretty neat trick there using that sorted command. And so, I mean, looking at that list, of random letters might be challenging for a person. Like, all right, let me kind of wade through them and hop around trying to find them. Here, by using the sort command, it puts that list in order and very, it's an alphabetical order in that case. It makes it a lot easier to kind of wade through and see what's going on. All right, let's build on these ideas a bit more. I'm just going to add another little line break for visual purposes here. All right, let's jump into a little bit of review and do a while loop with an incremental counter. And then we're going to be appending items to a list. And so we've done something like this before, so this shouldn't be anything earth-shattering. So hey, I need a list here to work with. I could kind of use the same list if I wanted my list and just declare it to have it set to an empty list, which would basically kind of delete what I had. But I'm just going to create a new list here. So random number list. All right, and so I've declared that, and it's just an empty list. So let's just have a variable here. So x equals 0, kind of setting up this while loop. So say while x is less than 5. All right, so while x is less than 5, in this case it's 0, so while 0 is less than 5, so I know for guaranteed that this while loop is going to trigger. And we're going to have number equals, and we're going to wrap it in an int. And I am going to say pick a number 1 to 10. All right, so I want the user to pick an integer, and I'm asking them to pick an integer between 1 and 10. I'm not going to have any kind of stuff in here that would prevent an invalid entry or anything like that. I'm just going to, for this example, trust that the user can follow these simple directions and add, numbers between 1 and 10. Okay, so then I am going to have the user append, or not, sorry, the user isn't going to. The program is just automatically going to append their response to the list. So it starts by saying, hey, pick a number 1 to 10, and whatever number I input, let's say it's 5, and then basically, hey, append the variable, which is 5, to my random number list. And so immediately random numbered list is now going to be holding the integer of 5. Now, if I ran that program, it would just basically run indefinitely because x is always going to be less than 5 because it's 0. So we need to add that incremental counter, and I'll do x equals x plus 1. All right, so every time the incremental counter runs, it's going to add 1 there. So it'll run the appropriate number of times, and then we'll be able to exit the while loop. All right, so I just kind of entered out and just kind of backspaced out of the indent there, so we're no longer inside of the while loop. All right, so I've got a print statement here, and let's print the numbers and say, hey, the numbers on my list, and we'll just add we're going to concatenate that string with my random number list. And so here it should print the random numbers on my list. So let's just take that for a test drive and see what happens. So pick a number. How about 5, 2, 9, 1, 6. All right, so I should make that plural and say, hey, the numbers on my list, 52916. All right, so cool. That little while loop worked, and every time I entered a number, it appended it to the list, and it appended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, just like I wanted. So that is great. And again, just to kind of show you this sort command, I'm just going to add a little line break just for visual purposes, and do this, and say another print statement, and say the sorted, let's try this, the numbers in order are, and again, comma, and I'm going to add that sorted command. And sort what? Well, I want you to sort my random number list. All right, so let's get out of there. Okay, click, let's run this. All right, so pick some numbers. How about 8, 2, 6, 1, 9. All right, so we can see the numbers are 8, 2, 6, 1, 9, and then the program using the sorted command puts them in orders. The numbers in order, not the order. The numbers in order are 1, 2, 6, 8, and 9. So again, neat little trick there. Now let's do one more thing here, and I'm just going to add a little line break so we can just sort of separate that, a little visual break. I'm going to create one more list here, and instead of setting it to an empty list here, I'm going to actually propagate it with some numbers 1 through 10. All right, so my list is holding the integers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so declared a list there and filled it up. So again, that should be, that should be review for us. Nothing shocking there. All right, so let's get into something new here, and this is determining which numbers were not selected. All right, so we kind of did this similar with the letters on the top. We're going to take this one step further here, and we're going to set up a for loop. So for what? Well, for items, and it could just be I, like for I, like you could abbreviate it, in full list. All right, so I'm going to say, so for every item in my full list, I want you to do something. All right, we'll do what? If item. All right, so again, if the item's a local variable, and we're talking about the items in the full list, so that list with all the integers between 1 and 10. If item not in, well, not in what? Well, again, not in my random number list. All right, so basically, it's going to take every single item in my full list. So it's going to take 1, and when I say, hey, if 1 is not in the random list, I want you to do something. Then, obviously it'll run again, and it'll say 2. If 2 is not in my random number list, I want you to do something. So I've got like this for loop, and then inside of it, I've got this conditional statement with if, and then I want you to do something. In this case, I'm just going to have it, print something. I did not pick the number what? Well, whatever that item is. All right, so let's run this and see what happens. All right, pick a letter of the alphabet, B. All right, B is not in the list, and so we can see the random list here, and then we can see the list in order. All right, pick some numbers. Pick a number 1 to 10. You got it. 3. How about 9? 1. 7 and 4. All right, excellent. The numbers on my list are 3, 9, 1, 7, 4. The numbers in order are 1, 3, 4, 7, 9. Cool. I did not pick the number 2. I did not pick the number 5. I did not pick the number 6. I did not pick the number 8. I did not pick the number 10. And so this, both the sorted, you wouldn't need the sorted to do any of the stuff that we were doing. Like these orders do not need to be, these lists do not need to be in order. It's just visually for the user. It's nice to see that sometimes. But the big takeaway here in this lesson is this not in. And so it'll, can look at a list and say, hey, is this variable in this, in this list, or basically not in this list, and then we can do stuff with that. All right, guys, I think this is going to be a big help in the activity that you're working on there, the Python coding challenge. I think you could definitely be able to use it to kind of meet that the 4th challenge problem there. All right, I will talk to you guys later.